To the ladies in the sector, shake that ass, 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 shake that ass. To the ladies in the sector, shake that ass, shake that ass, shake that ass, shake that ass, and just shake it real fast. Bitch ass nigga named Alan Logic. Yeah, we know you LGBT in the closet. Yeah, motherfucker, yeah, we say it to your face. Motherfucker can't even keep a care of me. Woo! Bitch ass nigga named Alan Logic. Yeah, we know you LGBT in the closet. Yeah, motherfucker, yeah, we say it to your face. Motherfucker can't even keep a care of me. Woo! Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Chat, sing with me. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Dumb bitch asses. Fuck the DBA. To the ladies in the sector, shake that ass, 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 shake that ass. To the ladies in the sector, shake that ass, shake that ass, shake that ass, shake that ass, and just shake it real fast. Pissy ass nigga named K.I.P. Crying ass nigga named motherfucking P. You see him on the panel, yeah, they talking about me. Yeah, you see him in the sector, yeah, they talking about D. Pussy ass nigga, silly ass nigga, old ass worn out dumb ass nigga. You see him all around in the motherfucking sector. They mad that they can't be the Godfather. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Chat, sing with me. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Fuck the DBA. Dumb bitch asses. Fuck the DBA. Welcome, everybody. This is Coach D. Durrell Spears, YouTube extraordinaire, aka the Godfather. Happy to be here once again. And so, before I get started, I just want to say hello to everybody in the Umar Johnson sector, aka the sector, aka the Godfather sector. Shout out to everybody in the the black sector, aka Section 8. Shout out to the people in the manosphere, all the black spaces on YouTube. This is Coach D. Durrell Spears here once again. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Conscious Energy for coming in. Shout out to Muslim Lyricist. What's going on, Sexy Tar Lady? She said that's my favorite song. What's going on, Miss T. Pre? What's going on, Angela Smith? In my opinion. We got people coming in bright and early, and we're going to have a good one today. We're going to have real discussions. We're going to have real discussions today. I'm going to say this, and, I know that I have been involved in a lot of fuckery, but in kind of looking at how things are evolving and where I'm at, I got to change up some stuff. I really, really have to change up some things. And I have to get back to doing the type of content that reflects who I am and the things that I like to discuss intellectually in real life with people. Shout out to Miss Queen Sunkiss. And for many of you that know me, you know that I am pro-black. And when I first began creating YouTube videos, my content was mostly pro-black. It was mostly pro-black, and it's time for me to get back to that. It's time for me to get back to the content that I enjoy doing. So, what I like to say is that that's what I plan to do. That's definitely what I plan to do. Again, I will be broadcasting from D. Durrell Sectors TV and D. Durrell The Rebirth channels. I will be talking about woke discussions. My content will be about conscious woke issues that are stimulating, issues that relate to the black community throughout the diaspora, throughout our country itself. And I like to talk about things that are stimulating. I like to talk about things that is relative to change. You all know that I am Pan-African, and I enjoy talking about things related to being Pan-African, black nationalist. I can't just talk about the fuckery all the goddamn time, and it's time for me to get away from that and start creating the type of content that really really reflects who I am as a person. The type of content that reflects who I am, what I think about, as far as me being progressive in my community, as far as me doing things that are related to me and where I'm at with my community. So I will be doing content focusing on the black community from a Pan-African black nationalist perspective. Okay? And I want to do content that's relative to growth. And so, yes, I will mix in some fuckery here and there. But as I broadcast from this channel will reflect me talking about issues of the black community. And I will talk about a variety of different things. Okay? So today, we're going to talk about episode 1, Black People, What Are We Doing? Okay. And I want to discuss, as a community, what the hell are we doing? As a black community, we are lacking in so many areas. In every area that counts, according to statistics that are not necessarily created by us, but we have a tendency to be almost last or we're near the bottom. When I'm talking about education, when I'm talking about economics, when I'm talking about, just things as far as the criminal justice system, socially, how we are being perceived, academically, in many of those areas, we're not only are we always near the bottom, but we're not progressing. I don't see steady growth within the Black community of being better. I don't see generational wealth. I don't see generation by generation we're making substantial or what we would say significant increases. By the year, they're proposing by the year 2030 and later that the wealth in the Black community will be like zero. The average household will have a negative $8, will be valued at a negative $8 in wealth. We already have African American boys barely can read past a 4th or 5th grade level. We don't see substantial decreases in African Americans, particularly African American males, as far as incarceration rates. Our marriage rates are dismal. So we're in a position where we can't afford to be playing around. We're in a position where we cannot afford to play around. As a Black community, it's easy, and I'm going to say this, it's very easy to talk about the problems that persist. And then the main issue is that we have people in the Black community that act like they don't understand the problems that persist in our community, as if the way things are okay. And so you hear people talk about, this is the greatest country in the world. This may be the greatest country in the world, but is this the greatest or the best possible environment for us to thrive? What's the use of it being the greatest country in the world if we can't have those same benefits? Now, if you read in the description box for this particular episode, I talked about, as far as what are we doing as far as how we're functioning, where we're at, as it relates to everybody else, as it relates to every decade and every generation, where we're not seeing substantial growth and substantial improvements. And at some point in time, we can't just blame everything on white supremacy. We just can't say it's racism, discrimination. There are so many ways to fight racism. There's so many ways to fight discrimination. There's so many ways to fight any injustices. But we're not taking advantage of those tools. What we're doing as a community is that we are making excuses. We are being apathetic as a group. We're being nonchalant. And we're just pretending like, if we just pray and hold on to God, everything is going to be all right. He's going to see us through. We're trying to pretend that, things are just going to get better. But how many generations are we going to fall back on that? And we have to take a logical look at what we have made mistakes in and how we're going to correct it. How are we going to make an attempt to be a better people? Are we attempting to be a better people as black people in America, as a 45 million population, total in population, probably a little bit more than that for those Negroes who are biracial that claim to be black or don't, those that don't. How can we thrive to be a better people? Okay? Why are we not learning from the previous generations? It seems like to me every generation of younger people think that they should not listen to the previous generation as if they can provide better solutions and a better way of doing things without a proven record. You see, as we have evolved as human beings, as a species, every functional society and every functional empire or government, family, passes on knowledge, pass on skills. Everything that is valuable to the previous generation is supposed to be passed on to the next generation. In the Black community, we refuse to pass on the good of the previous generation, and we pass that on to the next generation so that they can have a better way of being successful and thriving. You know what's happening in the Black community? The next generation is starting from scratch all over again. Every generation of Black people, the next generation doesn't carry on, I would say, generational wealth, resources, easier ways of obtaining whatever success or whatever industries they want to get into. Other groups of people create a pathway for their younger and the next generation to have an easier time to be successful. And this is why we're behind. We are behind as a people because the previous generations are not providing an avenue for the younger generation to be successful quicker and easier. Because if they can become successful quicker and easier, they can accumulate power and wealth at a higher rate. We don't understand that. You will hear Black people talk about, I'm spending all my money. I don't give a damn if my kids fighting over my money. I'm going to spend it up. I care less about allowing and having things so that they can have an easier time. I care less about a trust fund. I care less about life insurance, land, housing, properties, businesses. This is the reason why other groups of people are not last in every damn thing, and we are. It's because we are so focused on entertaining ourselves and feeling good and looking good, pretending to be rich, pretending to have all these things that in all actuality we don't have anything on average. And so as I go along within this particular topic today, what I would like to do is focus on the 7 things that you see on the screen. We're talking about education, health, social status, value system, citizen status, the legal system or the criminal justice system, and wealth building. I want you all to understand that we're not functioning in these areas. We are not functioning well in these areas. As you see, I'm talking about education, I'm talking about healthcare, talking about social status, value, our values, citizenship, legal system. We're just not functioning well enough. We're doing just enough, We're doing just enough to get by. We're doing just enough to survive. And we think by praying and having faith and the Lord is going to make a way that things are, how many years are we going to be doing this stuff? When are we actually going to use, for those who believe in God and those who are of the faith, I don't give a damn what nationality, whatever, what religious orientation or whatever belief system you come from. But please let me know, how is that belief system going to come to light into reality where we're actually applying certain values that are taught in religious literature to our lives? Because going to church on Sunday, going to choir rehearsal and going to Bible study on Wednesday and all these different things, we can do all of that stuff on Sunday, but we can't get together with other members of our church to start businesses. We can't unify with other members of our church or in our communities or other religious groups to start other institutions that we need. We have no control of any industry in this country. There was a time where we did control things that were exclusively related to Black people. Now, the people who have owned those hair care companies and other different grooming companies and so forth that dealt with hair and grooming and our music and all, we have sold all of our wealth, our land, where somebody just mentioned earlier about people owning homes and selling them off. We have sold the little that we own. As a community, we're in no business. Absolutely, we have no business. We have absolutely no business selling anything. Let me repeat. As an African American community, a community that has discretionary income of about 1.5, almost $2 trillion a year, comparative to other groups of people, if we were an independent nation, we have no business, absolutely no business selling anything to anybody who's going to basically purchase that to benefit their community and kick you out. This is how gentrification is done. This is why we have such difficult times getting into corporate America and other different areas in industries. It's because we don't own anything in those industries. The reason why other communities thrive is because they have ownership. And in their ownership, they make opportunities for people that look like them. In my own company, I have a day program. I have a case management program. I provide jobs and I make a conscious effort to hire African Americans, qualified African Americans. Okay? And I don't always hire African. My company is 70% African American. And most of the people that work for me are Black women. And I try to hire as many African American people as possible because that's reflective of me and my value system, qualified. And I have to put the emphasis on qualified. I'm not willing to hire unqualified African Americans or unqualified melanated people. I'm not. And there were people, when I stated that, told me I was not truly being a Pan-African because I'm supposed to have 100% Black people working. That is ideal, but that's not realistic. And see, that's the problem of when we have people in our community thinking that we are supposed to function and do things a certain way if you follow a certain ideology. So when you got people talking about the scales on my head and you have people talking about different comedic sciences and different things, and being a Moor, being a Nawapian, being a Hebrew Israelite, they're so concerned about you being so pragmatic with following an ideology, we lose track of the reality. The reality is, and let me show this again. Regardless of what ideology and mindset, the reality is we're last in everything that I am pointing out here. We're last education. We have the worst health. Black men are dying quicker than everybody. Black women basically are almost at the bottom as far as with women. Social status for black people, we already know what that's at, where people can shoot you at will and nothing happens. Value system, we have a value system that was once functional. We've gotten away from the very values that kept us afloat. Our citizenship status, we have this facade of thinking we're true Americans just because we have a birth certificate that says that you're an American citizen. However, we're not treated as such when the law is supposed to apply to us like everybody else. Then all of a sudden we're operating under certain other types of conditions that are outside of the true interpretation of the law. And that goes again with the legal system, who basically does not treat us the way they treat other people. And last, when we're talking about wealth building, where's the wealth? I don't give it. See, it's a difference. Just because you have a 1.5 to $2 trillion spending power, that doesn't mean you're wealthy. That just means you have money to buy stuff. You have money to buy products from companies that you don't own, and you're enriching other people. You're not enriching yourself. If we took 100% of that discretionary income and we kept it in our community, then it will have a ripple effect on everything that I'm showing right now: education, health, social status, value system, citizen status, and legal system. Because what ends up happening when you start doing for self and you start investing in self and people who look like you and that money, and once you do that, you don't need other people. You see, Dr. Claude Anderson stated that in this country, they want us to be under a permanent underclass environment or status. They want us to be as a permanent underclass, second, third class citizen, where we need everybody for everything, and we can't depend on ourselves for anything. And see, this is the reason why black people are so distrustful of one another. And that's by design. Because we have not shown a significant standard over a period of time for solving our own problems and creating and doing for self, every generation, it's difficult for them to believe a black person doing something of significance and doing it the right way and being functional and successful, and also it being profitable. But we quickly, without a doubt, just with average presentation, believe that other people can come in and do things better, which basically gives rise to, the white man ice is colder, which is not the truth. But if I picked ice out of a bowl and I presented it to a black person, and a white man picked ice out of the same bowl, and I gave the ice, and I held that ice up, and the white guy held his ice, and we told a black person to pick which ice is better, a large percentage of African Americans is going to say they're going to trust the ice from the white man, even though we picked the ice from the same goddamn bowl. And that is the mentality psychologically that I have spent over 20 years of my life trying to change as it relates to black people psychologically, how we get along, how we communicate, how we treat one another, how we socialize under this environment. Okay? So we can talk about reparations all you want. But the problem with that is, this is what we got to understand. Do we have the power to push the government to give us the reparations? But if they don't give us the reparations, please let me know what was the punishment? What was the result? Can we create an adverse result, an uncomfortable result or environment by you not listening to us? Until we create an environment that negatively affects the people who are not giving us something, they will never do it. You can listen to all the lies that the Democratic Party will tell you and the Republican Party will tell you. But until we as black people create an environment in which they are negatively affected financially, socially, or etc., they will not give us reparations. And that's what the black nationalists, the Pan-African, the pro-black, the communists, whatever you want to call yourself, the socialists, we don't understand it unless we create an environment just like they boycotted and things of that sort, where if you don't do what we want you to do, then we will make sure you don't get this or you don't get that, or you're going to have to operate under less desirable circumstances. They have no reason to change. The reparations movement has no power unless we as African American people create an environment that causes people to be in an uncomfortable situation, an undesirable situation that they don't want to remain in. And then the only way to get out is if we get what we want. So what that means, as far as a solution in that, is that some people should be losing, some corporations should be losing money. The school system should be losing money. There will be some political offices that people are going to lose some level of power. Okay? Industries that we support are going to have to suffer because of African Americans not getting what they are entitled to. Until we create an environment like that where they see we're not playing, and there is a residual domino effect that affects this economy, which will affect the government, which will affect healthcare, education, everything that is listed here. And listen, I may be missing a few things. This is not the be-all, end-all. I just picked out 7 things that came to mind from my perspective. Anybody here can come back and state whatever they like as far as things that affect the black community. I just picked out broad terms because some of these things are interchangeable and you can add whatever. This is not the be-all, end-all. This is just me pointing out 7 key areas that we're last in and we should be thriving in. So let's not get into, well, you could have added this or you should have did this or you could have brought this in, you could have brought that in. No. I'm just pointing out some things to synthesize with you all today, and we can discuss and talk about it. That's the point. That's my point today. Okay? Shout out to West Bank. VDA 504, he said, D. Durrell, a major problem in our community is the church. Not all, but a lot of churches, especially those mega churches, take a lot of money out of the community without investing and reinvesting in it. He also says the church negatively affects our community. Now, you see where number 4 is? Value system. I could put religion and value system. That could mean two different things, but that is related to our value system. You see, there has been I would say a regression in our value system as a people, as far as our belief system transferring into other areas of life for the betterment of us as a people. And so what has happened when those black mega churches married to the Republican Party and they took all of that government grant and that, I forgot what they called it. It was the religious, I forgot, it was something, this was during the faith-based initiatives. When people like T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar and others married themselves to the Republican Party to get that faith-based initiative money, at that point, I knew it was the death. That was the death of the African American church, which was already struggling to do things for the community. The church harbors in anywhere between $30 to $40 million a week in money from the community throughout the nation. If the church alone would do what it's supposed to do and invest and appropriate that money to the community, we should have our own banks through churches alone. The churches should be a major financial institution to lend money to the African American community. But these mega churches, they're more concerned about having a $70 million airplane than instead of taking that $70 million and creating a school, creating a hospital. It doesn't cost but about somewhere around $500,000 to create a credit union. For a bank, maybe somewhere around $1 million. That is not a lot of money when it comes to investing in your own institutions. In the city of Houston, we have one black bank. We have one black bank and we have one black hospital. Okay? So I am cautioning us as a community to think about, I'm creating caution in what we're doing and what are we going to do to change it. What's up, Full Circle? I haven't seen you in a long time, brother. Good to see you up in here, man. Good to see you here. So I am cautioning, I'm saying a little bit of caution, not only just to us, but when we see other people doing these things and we're spending money out of our community, we're not building our community. Now, see, I could have added, it kind of goes into wealth building, but we could say real estate and housing. We can add that in there. But like I said, I'm not here to this is not the end all be all. This is just me giving a more of a summary from my perspective of things that we need to improve on. That probably could be 10, 15 other different things that can also be listed. All of the things that I just stated from educational wealth building are all interrelated. They're all interrelated. They're all interrelated. Okay? So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to send a link out. If anybody wants to discuss any of the 7 areas that we need to improve, I would like you to come up if you have any solutions. You can talk about those solutions from your perspective. And to me, and in my position, no solution is wrong. A solution is merely a strategy, an applicable strategy to resolve problems. And that's one of the things when you listen to certain people on certain in the conscious community on YouTube, they're arguing over what we should be doing instead of looking at how we can compile our solutions to target one problem or certain problems. When was the last time the Democratic Party? When was the last time the Democratic Party solved a black problem? When was the last time that the Republican Party solved a black problem? Please let me know, when did one of these communities solve a black problem? It doesn't exist. I have yet to see any institution outside of something that we created for ourselves to resolve our problems. Now, they may have created laws and gave us certain privileges and things of that sort so that we can function. But when has anybody outside the black community corrected a black problem? What's going on, Alonzo? How you doing, brother?
How are you today, boss? Thank you for having me up.
I'm good, brother. What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to talk on the wealth building aspect,
Okay.
and things like, investing into our own community or institutions. I think one of those major issues is and it may actually add with 3 and 7 are almost interchangeable. One of the things that I saw on like a TikTok was, we often have this movement of, buy black and support black businesses. And one of those things it was saying was that doesn't just mean buying a scarf off of an Etsy page one time, but doing things like using a black financial planner, a black real estate agent, a black CPA, a black attorney, right? Because we have these things. Obviously, me being in the financial services industry, I think that is a huge issue. One of the things I know is that a lot of licensed financial professionals who are black tend to either not know or mislead our people often. And for example, I was at the last year's CAAFP, which is the Conference of African American Financial Professionals, which is hosted by the American College of Financial Services. And they were explaining that of the industry, actually licensed financial professionals are, I believe, 6.1% of the financial professionals in the industry that are licensed are black. And that's a major issue in our community. I'll give you another example when we're looking at social status and wealth building. I have a video talking about a popular YouTuber who's an unlicensed person by the name of Wall Street Trapper. And I have a bunch of people who are jumping on, oh, he's helped, a whole bunch of people. And the issue is this: because he's unlicensed, it's cool because he has social status, right? You see him all over, Facebook and Instagram and so forth. But because he's unlicensed,
he's
say
not
again?
credible. He's not credible.
Exactly. And so what happens is, people are like, well, yeah, he's done good. And we don't understand how things like investing works, right? So, we see an unrealized capital gain. I put 17 cents into Dogecoin. It's 58,000. I'm rich. But until someone gives you that 58,000, that's an unrealized gain. So you haven't made 58,000 because nobody gave you 58,000 for your Dogecoin, right? But it looks nice on the balance sheet. But then the other negative is because social status, people are believing him, but because he's unlicensed and uncredentialed, the people that he harms have no recourse. So they can't turn around and report him to the SEC, which is the Security Exchange Commission, or FINRA, or, so all these things are then hampered. And I have a bunch of people coming on my video, oh, you sound like a hater. I'm like, no, I'm a licensed person who takes offense because my 10,000 hours of work pales in comparison to your Google search, right? You know what I mean? Meanwhile, these are the same people who won't go to a barber unless he has his license. But you'll listen to the Wall Street Trapper. And I'm not saying that he's coming out with malintent, but the reality of it is if you won't go to a barber because they don't have their license, why would you go to someone and trust them about investments, etc.? We also don't even understand that there's actually a gentleman who's I guess a manosphere creator by the name of Green Gorilla, who released a
Yeah, I
video
know him.
speaking on ownership of equities and mutual funds by race.
Right.
And these are federal government statistics. It showed in quarter four of 1990, blacks owned 0%. Quarter four 95, we owned 1% of mutual funds and equities. Do you know quarter four 2020, we were still as a race at 1% of ownership of mutual funds and equities. So what happens is when people are saying, hey, invest, 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 we're not actually investing. And there are actually rules to being an actual investor. It's called an accredited investor. And there are tests and rules behind that. So a lot of this actually ties, into place because you need to be educated on what it is that you're even getting into to be financially fit or to be able to be an accredited investor. Or, people don't understand risk tolerance. They don't understand exit strategy, right? They don't understand things like 2 and 20 fees. What is a 2 and 20 fee? If you come to a financial advisor like me and you purchase a mutual fund 4 years ago, I'm going to charge you 2 and 20 fees. So I'm going to charge you 2% of your net worth annually and 20% of your capital gains. We'll use small numbers. Let's say you earn $1,000 on your investment. Well, you owe me 20% of that. So that's $200 before you pay your capital gains taxes. So you're almost going to, and capital gains taxes right now are at 20%. So altogether, that's 40% of your money that's taken away from quote unquote investing. Now, the average minimum investment amount is $10,000. Anything other than that, you can go to Fidelity and E-Trade and put in $3,500. They're not considering that an investment. Yes, they will take your money and say, hey, yeah, you've got this great account. But it's like dunking on a guy who's 6'8" at the Y and thinking you're going to dunk on LeBron James, who actually plays basketball, right? They're two different things. The guy at the Y don't play basketball. He's just 6'8". LeBron practices this every day. So, I just wanted to add that. I'm sorry for my rant.
No, 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 no. I'm glad. I'm glad you're talking about this because you're talking again as a credible person, and I've listened to you many times, and I've seen you on other channels. I've heard you talk about all types of financial instruments and so forth. And from my position as a person, I'm not going to say that I'm the most literate person when it comes to finances, but I think I've with a person who has multiple investments, accounts, and things of that sort. I think I consider myself more knowledgeable than the average person per se. Because I took it upon myself to educate myself. But
I'd agree. Just from some of your business endeavors, I'd agree with you that you're definitely smarter than the average bear.
yeah, and to me, and Alonzo, what you just talked about, giving an example of you as a credible person, right, in your field, but people are actually bypassing what you're saying to listen to someone who has zero training or credibility. They're just a YouTube persona, and they give more credence to that than someone who's been doing this for years and has been successful. And I also have encountered issues like that within my own field of mental health with people under the disguise of life coaching, dating coaching, and other different things that don't necessarily have the training certificates or licenses or any specialties, because there is a certification for life coaching for those who, and there's also certifications for image consultants and things like that. And the main people who are actually successful at that on this platform have neither of those of those, any of those types of train that as far as experience and training and certs. So I think it is important for education, Alonzo. People who like say for what you're doing, the best thing you can do, because I know a ton of African Americans who are financially illiterate. I know educated, highly educated Black people who are financially illiterate. And what I can say is that for the African American community, it's all about that first impression you give to them when you expose them to information that they have never heard or been privy to. And unfortunately, because of the mindset of a lot of people in our community, you can't come off a certain way that is, I would say, uppity or offensive to them. You have to come like meet them where they are and express, and they can either accept the information or not. You know what I'm saying? And so I actually had a professor, Alonzo, that was in the financial industry before she changed to go into mental health. And she stated she actually worked in New York. She was a stockbroker. And she said that her boss told her that because you're an African American woman, you're not going to make it in this. You're going to have a difficult time making it in this industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she basically worked in the industry, but it was some other things that she had to deal with, just with the environment that she chose to change. But that stuck with her. But like you stated, there are not a lot of Black people in these industries.
Right.
My industry is the same way. In the mental health field is less than 12% of the mental health field is African American men and women.
Wow.
Less than 12%. And out of that 12%, I'm going to say probably 8% of that is Black women, and the other 4% is Black men.
Mm.
And that's the facts. Less than 5% of all of that. I'm going to say less than 5% of that 12% is Black men. The other 7+% is Black women. So whenever someone is seeking a Black counselor, you're going to have a hard time finding a Black male counselor. You're going to probably find a Black female counselor. You have a better chance. But at the same time, with that being said, you as a financial professional understands a lot of integral aspects of things because this is what you do. You're a professional. And there's certain things that you know and how to operate. And like you just stated, if someone, you have oversight, if you have licenses, if you go to an unlicensed certified person, there's no recourse if they did something wrong. You can't make a complaint to a financial institution, the SEC or something like that. For me and you, I have a governing body, a licensing board that I have to be accountable to. You have the same. And I just think that as Black people, we need to be just because it sounds good and the person looks good doesn't mean that it's good. And the thing about it, you wonder why Black people get scammed so much is because Black people we've been conditioned to not understand what true Black professionalism look like. So anybody comes around and speaks well and dress well and throw out a bunch of stuff and you just automatically think that it's legit. And that's just not the case. And that's one of the reasons Black people get scammed so much, because we have a lot of people who dress themselves up in a certain way and they fool Black people. But go ahead, brother.
You're absolutely right. And what's even worse is, like you said, there tends to be no recourse. And, even when you have the possibility of giving a recourse, often we don't know where to go or how to go. So it goes, or underreported, right? So we don't know to go to, for example, if someone says they're, a stockbroker, you don't know to go to FINRA broker check, right? FINRA.org, right? And you can go to Broker Check and literally look up all their licenses, or all, they're able to do. I guess I am of the 1%. You'd be surprised how many individuals are financially uneducated. Yeah, it's sad. About 90% of Americans, not just Black people, but Americans in general, are, unfortunately not financially literate. But in
Right.
our community specifically, that's my main
It's,
concern.
it's extremely, and the thing about it, we have to look at things as far as being more communal with our group of people, because nobody really, all the other groups of people, they're actually scheming and trying to think of more ways to take Black wealth.
Yeah.
They're not concerned about, they're wondering, what can I do to take more Black wealth from Black people? This is the reason why immigrants come here.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they do is set up shop in Black communities.
Mm-hmm.
Because that has over generation been a process towards long-term wealth for other communities.
Exactly. Go ahead. Even further with the education, on, in things like finances. So often you'll hear me specifically talk on insurance or life insurance.
Right. Yes, you have.
And I don't talk about investments almost at all, right? And the reason being is because recourse, right? So if somebody's actually licensed in this stuff, it's technically illegal for them to even talk blanket about investments online, right? Or in the public, because it's a very customized thing, right? And so what happens often, especially in our community, like you hear people say, "Oh, I have the Vanguard QQQ," and okay, great, but just because you're investing in that doesn't mean that I have the same risk tolerance, et cetera, and we don't even understand that. But
exactly,
it's like saying, well, I got type 2 diabetes and you got type 2 diabetes. That don't mean we need the same amount of insulin or the same pills, right? Oh, what pill are you on for your type 2 diabetes? Well, you're on a completely different medicine than what my doctor has on me, because, I metabolize differently than you do, even though we have the same exact, condition, or even though we make the same exact amount of money per year. So, like, one of the things I want to kind of mention through life insurance is a term that's been brought to us, and a couple of them that seem popular, right? So one of the things that's really popular online right now is the infinite banking concept, which I'm a huge fan of, and I have clients who take part in that. But they don't realize that in order for that to be effective, you're going to spend at least $1,000 a month on your premium. Most people can't fathom spending that much money on life insurance, because we've just been taught it's a death benefit, and we've been taught things like buy term, invest the rest. Again, with the minimum investment being $10,000, right? If someone tells you to buy term and invest the rest, and there's nothing wrong with term insurance, it's pure profit for me and the insurance company. So trust me, I love selling term insurance. But number one, it only pays out 1% of the time, a term policy. Number two, term insurance, buy term, invest the difference, was created from slavery. I have an article. I'll probably share it again on my community tab, that was written by at the time, New York University professor by the name of I can't think of his name, Dr. Michael something, but he was Dr. Michael Ralph, and he's now at Howard University. And he was studying life insurance and slavery. And buy term, invest the difference came because you would buy a term life insurance policy for the useful life of your slave, which was 7 to 10 years, and you would invest the rest in buying a young buck. But in today's world, buying a term policy and investing the rest is almost impossible if someone is struggling to pay $200 or $300 a month on their life insurance. When the minimum investment is $10,000, that equals $834 a month just on the investment. So it sounds nice, but it's almost impossible for a lot of people.
Right. You have to be in a certain class, certain tax bracket for that to make sense. Like I've seen you talk about, I think it was the universal life insurance
Yeah.
policy. I have one of those. I actually have two of them. And I paid attention to that because I actually I bought one actually back in 2004. So I had it almost actually be 20 years next year. I've had one for like 19 years, and it has built up cash value over time. Um, I wish I would have increased it over time. I kept it. I just kept it. It's good from, I think, to the time, I guess, from 0 to 99. I think it stops at 99 years. I think that's the period it stops. But I haven't looked at it in about. Matter of fact, I need to go back and look because I think the last time I looked at the as far as the cash value of it build up, I think it was like a year ago. I don't think I've looked at it in like a year ago. Then I have another one. I have several, policies that I have purchased for myself, my wife, and my kids have a rider that's in there and stuff like that. But you know what sickens me? The thing that sickens me the most online, being on YouTube, Alonzo, from a financial standpoint, is when I see people die and they're doing GoFundMe accounts.
Oh, that is heartbreaking.
And I know you are aware of this, brother ARC, Alan Roger Curry, who,
yes,
quote unquote playboy of many. He's high value this, got money to do this, playing with the women from all over the country, traveling, doing all these things. This guy died, left his family nothing. They can't even have access to his I think he has a 501, a 401b or 501k, a 401k. I think it's some type of investment. He has one of those, a retirement account.
So it's probably a 403b.
Yeah, probably a 403b. No life insurance, no other resources but that. And this is a guy.
Hopefully it's a 457. It'll be a little more. I'm actually studying now for further credentials, which is a CRC, Certified Retirement Counselor. So I'm all up in those.
Yeah, so the bottom line is he left his family with nothing.
Yeah, he had his family put together a $25,000 GoFundMe.
Yes, which he only raised like $4,600 out of the $25K.
Yeah, that's that
to me, man. I tell you, man, when I hear people on these airwaves saying stuff, and then when somebody died, they're doing GoFundMe accounts. That lets me know. See, this is something that has been prevalent in the Black community.
Yes.
I mean, when you don't plan for your own, something that's inevitable for everybody, and the fact that you now become a burden, your death has now become a burden to this widow of yours and the child. You left your child nothing. You left your wife nothing. This is incomprehensible to me. That you would be on the internet, doing, I think he was doing vitamin water sponsor. He had a vitamin water sponsorship. You sold a bestseller book, and you mean to tell me you left your children nothing? You left your wife nothing? I don't understand that, Alonzo.
Yeah.
See, this is the stuff. See, we get up here talk. See, this is why I talk about it.
Well, in that sense, I am going to place some of the responsibility on myself, not specifically, but financial professionals. And we have to do a better job of positioning ourselves, right? And unfortunately, we do have to become a little bit pushy with this stuff. Prime example, the reason I got into the industry, 2008, 3 days before Mother's Day, I got shot 5 times in front of my mother in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That made me realize I need to teach other young brothers this, because I became 25 cent, right? I got shot half as many times as 50. That's my joke. But there's so many of us who, we want to be the rapper or the athlete, and the average athlete career is 4.4 years. It's not 20 years like LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, right? Um, more of us are going to be Smush Parker than LeBron James, right? So even if we make it to the league, we're going to be out the league in 3-4 years, and then we have to live the rest of our lives, and then even things like retirement accounts, etc. We have to learn how these things are set up. The average 401k or the average IRA right now is about $65,000, right? When people are living longer, that's dangerous. This is why insurance companies got rid of a thing called a pension, because a pension was the reverse of a mortgage, meaning payment till death, right? So mortgage meaning you're paying out till death, pension meaning you're receiving payment till death. So insurance companies realized people were living longer. They got rid of the pension, created the 401k. But things like 401k, 457b, 403b, etc., are tax codes. They're not even products. But that again goes into the education. The health is another huge thing. Because even qualifying for a lot of this stuff, like if we look at, brother Kevin Samuels, everybody was like, well, he's high value and he was worth $4 million and
No,
didn't
he
leave
was
anything.
not. No, he was not. He was not.
Oh, that I didn't know.
No, he was not. And see, this is the thing. People have, and this is something you can speak to better than me, but I know the difference, and I know you know the difference. It's a difference between having a high level in salary versus wealth building. Kevin Samuels, in the last few years of his life, was earning a lot of money. However, throughout the majority of his life, he had no wealth that was being built. That's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference between building wealth and being a high income earner. Because there are people who have millions of dollars that they earn a month and they're broke. There are people who have 2, 3, 4. You just talked about athletes. A lot of those athletes that only last 4 years, they're still trying to live like they were, earning that salary in whatever sport that they were in. They go broke. This is the same thing that happens to movie stars and actors. They still they live on a level instead of looking towards longevity as far as long-term planning. They get caught up in living a certain lifestyle and they're broke in 3 or 4 years. The average NBA player actually goes broke 3-4 years after they leave the league because many of them, they don't know that they're financially illiterate.
Yeah. And what's worse, I'll tell you this, I was based out of New York, and I used to work, now I work ironically enough at an all-black IMO, which we're one of 3 in the country, independent marketing organization, which is basically our investment firm. So we sell insurance retirement investments, but we don't even have our own company. The black-owned insurance company and investment company is Atlanta Life Insurance, Equitrust Financial, which was majority purchased by Magic Johnson for $13 billion. He owns 51%.
Wow.
And then there's also another investment firm called Ariel Investments, which partnered with Charles Schwab for the last 20 years because they couldn't break into our community, being a black-owned investment firm. Our own people wouldn't invest with them. So, even that lack of knowledge goes a long way, right? But again, I'm going to lay a lot of that at the feet of myself and other financial professionals who are black. We just kind of have to get out there, and it's not fair, but we got to push a little harder, right? The industries themselves in the last 3 or 4 years have geared themselves towards our community heavily. You'll even see that in commercials like Mass Mutual or Northwestern Mutual, Prudential are now, and these are big name companies. But they definitely do things like that. But anyway, based out of New York, I was with a company called the D. Paola Financial Group back in 2012, and we used to go to the Barclays Center during the NBA draft and talk to the potential athletes. Personally, I never landed a baller, or a USA baller, I should say. But a lot of the time, these guys would just flat out refuse to even, look at what we were doing. And man, listen, I'm making all this money. I ain't worried about that.
Right.
And
That's facts.
and so it then even falls, even further. And then even things like, again, I use life insurance a lot because it's almost a guarantee investment. But let's look at like a lot of these, unfortunately, rappers who are dying. So anyone can go to Google and look this up. It's called COLI, corporate owned life insurance, right? Um, and there actually was, I think, what's the guy who did the documentary on bowling for Columbine? Michael Moore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he actually did the documentary in, I believe, 2011, where he had. There were a multitude of companies like Walmart, etc., but one was a company called Amagi Bank, where one of their VPs died from cancer, and he had a $5 million life insurance policy that went to the company, not him. So often, especially with our folks, I've got insurance through my job. That's called COLI. So the company has a vested interest if you die, and there's something called insurable interest. And the insurable interest is if you die, you can't produce for them anymore. So that doesn't even go to your family. That goes to, Amigi Bank or Walmart. Right? And so we're not even taught this, but it takes,
Right.
people like myself and other financial professionals to just go balls to the wall and explain that, right? Everywhere I
Right.
go, I explain it. And I know that especially insurance is a boring ass topic. I know, I sell it. I get bored with it sometimes. But it's not boring when you learn about, the checks. Like I said, COLI is corporate owned life insurance. So let's take a rapper like Takeoff, who, rest in peace, but him and the other, I think it's Quavo, they had just released an album and it didn't sell well. So how do we recoup our money? We just gave them, $10 million so they could buy a new Bentley and some teeth and some gold. And, we were thinking we were going to make $100 million back off of this album, and we didn't. Well, let me, pay a guy 50 grand to knock him off. And I paid $1 million on the life insurance for $100 million death benefit. He passes. Everybody's like, "Oh, he was so great," and then we get $100 million back.
Hmm.
Right?
Wow.
But and then there's something called BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. I chronicle this all the time, and I have a document that shows, and this was from 2019. Bank of America put $6.1 billion into equity investments without readily determinable fair values, which is the stock market. Simultaneously, they put $22 billion into cash value life insurance.
Hmm.
So, you
That's where the
know,
money at.
yeah. But again, that goes to, I guess, education, um, and even social status or value systems, because we're going to value what's flashy and what's thrown in front of us. Hey, get into the stock market, get into the stock market. Most of us can't get into the stock market because we don't have the risk tolerance, nor are we knowledgeable enough to know what risk tolerance is or exit strategy. So the average length of investment is 20 years, and the average return is 10%. And these aren't numbers by me. These Warren Buffett said this, right? And he's been investing for about as long as the Queen of England has been alive, right?
Facts.
So he's telling you, listen, I don't know where these people are telling you you're getting 10% a year and 100% they're lying to you. I, the guru, Warren Buffett, am telling you over 20 years you're only going to get an average of 10%. Yes, there are some outliers, but if he, who all he does is live off of his dividends. He doesn't even take the money out. So he rides the stock market. We also have to understand the stock market. Wealthy people go into the stock market not to gain wealth, but they go into the stock market for what's called preservation of capital. Prime example, in 2020, while we were still at a 3% annual inflation rate, if you put $100,000 into the bank and let it sit there until 2030, that $100,000 in 2030 only had spending power of $50,000 because of the 3% annual inflation. Now, God, what are we at in inflation now? 9%?
Yeah, I was gonna say 8%, but it's about 8 or 9%, 9% or whatever. So it's it's not it's out of control. That's basically the issue.
Yeah. So, again, I'm not trying to take over. I have a lot to say.
Yeah, good. No, the reason I'm glad you came up, and I would like anybody else that wants to come up. The main thing, see, what you're talking about, it is, the information that you're stating is what Black people need to learn and understand. We need to understand wealth building. We need to understand this. And to me, these other issues are all residuals of not understanding wealth building. When it comes to the legal system, affording defense, status, value system, all of this stuff, man. We're not, if we could ever have a systematic way of learning to appropriate the black dollar in a way to benefit us, it could alleviate a lot of these other areas that I've listed, because we could finance it.
True.
We could finance our education. We could finance our own health care. We could pay off politicians.
Right.
That basically deals with the citizenship, and as far as our status as a citizen, how we're treated as citizens is based on the laws that allow certain people to get away with doing things that they're doing or what they can't get away with. But
right.
it seems like to me, it's like every generation, they're starting from scratch. The majority of our people don't have a advanced leg up, or they're not starting from a higher or better situation than the previous group. It's like we're starting from scratch, just like the previous generation, when they became adults, they started from scratch. There's not something where you have an avenue to get to have an easier pathway to success like other groups. Other groups, they have kids growing up with the understanding that once you graduate out of college, you're working at dad's company.
Right.
And then you're going to own it. There's a difference between you having that trajectory as opposed to someone who spent $100,000 on a 4-year degree trying to find a job paying $70,000. There's a difference.
Right.
And see, this is what our people don't understand. We don't understand that. We have to create these opportunities. And if we don't create these opportunities, we're going to just be another. Then you're going to have generation, millennial, whatever, in 2030, going to be asking this generation of young, what did y'all do? Like, what happened? And then they're going to blame the previous generation why they're in the position they're in now, just like this generation is blaming generation Gen X, right, is being blamed. And so when I was a kid, we was blaming the baby boomers. what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have to break this cycle. Yeah. Or we're gonna continue to be last in education, last as far as have the least likely lifespan than any other group of people.
Right.
Things that we can change just on our diet. I could have put nutrition in here too.
Yeah.
As far as how we eat. Our value system has, gone to nothing. Legally, as far as how we're being treated in the legal system, criminal justice system, our status as African American people, as minorities in this country, all of those things are interrelated.
So true.
Each of them. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Any last words?
Well, few things really quickly in terms of education with our children. So anyone, if you have a child, you can get a Section 529 college savings plan. However, if you are going to do so, this is your email right here.
Yeah, I want you to email me. Yeah.
I'm going to email you the document and the article that I was talking about. But so a Section 529 college savings plan you can definitely get, but do not waste your money coming to a financial advisor like myself or anyone else for your Section 529 college savings plan. Literally go to Google and put in whatever state you're in, 529. And the state will have a state sponsored Section 529 college savings plan. Now, we also need to understand with a college savings plan, it's a little different than what's called an education IRA, which is a Coverdale. Most of our people should get a Coverdale as opposed to a Section 529 because we cannot afford a 529. The way a 529 is supposed to work is, let's use Yale, for example, since I'm here in New Haven and I live around the corner from Yale. So let's say Yale is $400,000 for, all 4 semesters in 2020, and your child was born in 2020. You would put $400,000 away in that 529, and in 20 years, in 2040, Yale's not going to be only 400,000. It'll probably be $400,000 a year, but you've already paid $400,000 in total. So your kid is locked in to go to Yale for that simple 400,000. A Coverdale, you're able to put a maximum of 2,000 in, which is generally where our community is able to maximize and put in for a college savings plan. But again, don't pay a financial advisor 220 fees to get a Section 529. Follow my page, and I'll definitely come up with and try to be more responsible and stop talking about mating and dating and nonsense, and just
Right.
keep it strictly finance. Um, but those are some of the things that I'll be addressing. The wealthy insure one life at least 7 times. And when you're looking at things like IULs, please make sure the agent knows what they're doing, because you will hear people like Dave Ramsey, who, even though he's not an insurance agent, he's not a licensed financial advisor either. So listening to Dave Ramsey is very much like listening to Wall Street Trapper. But uh, things like life insurance can actually help you out there. There's things called LERPs, ILITs, buy sell agreements, collateral assignments. There's a whole host of things that I'll be talking about. And lastly, my whole thing is wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. And when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Thanks. Salute.
All right, brother. What's up, Chaos Rain?
Hey, what's good, man? What's good? What's good? I like the setup. Diderot. You got the woke, you got the fist, you got two multiple cameras. And how you do it, bro? But you getting very innovative, man. Very innovative.
Appreciate it.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah, what's good? What's good, man? I thought people were still sleeping, man. Ain't nobody woke here, man. And if they're woke, when they wake up and they look what's going on, they say, "Man, put myself back to sleep, man. Screw this, man."
So, any comments on anything we talked about, or as far as the topics, things that we discussed?
You created this, you made this 1 from 7.
Yes.
Okay. Education, help, social, citizen status, the legal system, and welfare. If I to say it's EHSV, I don't know what all entitled. That's a good little setup. I like that. I don't know if I have any really in-depth questions on it, but one thing with the number 1, I'm hoping we deal with education. It goes like also be educated enough in many aspects best as possible. And it's just more than just the university. I mean, people should be always find ways to educate themselves a little bit more if they can.
Right.
You get me?
Right.
If you think about the route, most people, men and women, or any of the genders, once they finish school, anything else of further development in regards to educating oneself cease for a lot of people after they go through certain universities. You get me? And I always look at it, say, even your great intellects or even ones that never even attend or finish a university, still always try and improve and think and better their ways to be well-rounded and educate themselves, And that's one thing they never really pay attention to. So I highly agree that people should be educated and go beyond, if they can,
Right. I see people are critical. Dave Ramsey talks a lot about debt in different things. And I used to listen to Dave Ramsey when I was younger in my early adulthood, and you got to understand, Dave Ramsey also got to sell product. He sells books. He has made a killing out the black church and religious organizations. For those that don't know, there are several large, particularly the mega church. To me, any church that's over 1,000, any church that has like a substantial amount of people as far as their congregation, Dave Ramsey has made money visiting these churches, selling programs, doing training. Dave Ramsey has made a ton off of black churches or just the religious organizations, period. You know, he has made a killing for years off of the black, out of religious institutions. So you have to keep in mind, that he's selling products. To me, I understand wanting to be debt free, but I'm more concerned about wealth building instead of being debt free. You know, you can be debt free and you didn't build any wealth. You could be debt free and broke. You know, I would rather be worth $10 million and have $2 million in debt with that than have zero debt and be only worth $50,000. You know, that's just me. Now, some people may disagree, but that's, you know, I'm looking at wealth building. What's up, Miss Queen Sun Kiss? What's up, baby?
How you doing?
I'm good, baby. What's up?
I'm coming with the bullshit.
You say what?
I said I'm coming with the bullshit.
Oh shit! What happened? What
Long
happened?
live the gynocracy.
Oh Lord! Oh Lord!
No, okay. So you pulled up your data. So if we deal with institutionalized racism, how do we know if we trust these institutionalized numbers as far as our progress?
Institutional racism does have an influence on us, but it can't. We can't allow that to be the single-handed reason why we can't succeed.
But how do we know that those numbers are true?
Which numbers?
You said all the data shows that we are behind and last in everything. How do we know that's true if we getting our numbers from the same system that we got to fight against?
Well, there's also black institutions that do research that also pull out certain similar numbers. Also, now my numbers that I talk about, the information that I get, I mean, because I'm trained, I can evaluate research and know if it's legitimate research or not. But there's also black research companies and agencies and organizations. Like, say, for instance, I look at a lot of mental health information and statistics from the Black Psychological Association. I don't always look at everything from ACA. And there's also black teachers organization. There's all types of different organizations that there are black researchers that I look at, or I look at research that is independently done by black people. And in many of those situations, the numbers. Now, I will say this: you are right that there is a aspect of we're going to point out all the negative things that black people do, and we're not going to highlight the things that they're doing well. That does exist. Matter of fact, there was an educator that talked to me about when African American students are under the same. When African American students are under the same, they're basically everything is equal as it relates to social economics, the way they're treated. African American kids usually supersede or function at the same level or higher than most groups. The problem is that the majority of African American students are not under the same playing field. You know what I'm saying?
Can I add something further to add on to what you said? Remember, there was 2 books written by Carchi was one, the Miseducation of Negro, and one, the first book, I think I know his first book, called The Educated Negro. And there was a study done, and through his own experience, because he was a slave or born after slave, whatever, that within the first 30 years after physical enslavement, Black people, especially men, were reading and doing things at a very high level,
Right.
in less time. So now we go into the present day, even from the last century going on to this century, that if you give them, what was that? Family, oh, that's good. I got the book. If Black children were left to their own devices, remember, we educate our children by choice, right? And we were able to do much more. Look at innovations were done before integration of the 60s.
Facts. We had far more inventions and things of that
more
sort before.
And this is a period after enslavement when they already did, the reference states by Carter Woodin's own credit, because he lived during them times, that they were able to read and write at a higher level than most immigrants that came here in America that were not Black.
Right.
And
that's true.
Far see this in less time. So listen, they know the potential of Black people, especially Black boys and girls, especially Black boys. That's why it's a necessity to malnourish and undereducate. Even to the point now where we have No Child Left Behind, that was enacted in the 90s. That was the further demise that hurt us the most. Besides everybody else in the population, that hurt us the most. Because now you just pass people along. So what happens with the people that's born in the 90s? Adults, or someone that was born in the 80s that were just passed on when they're now, you have a society that now is not really prepared for what is here or what is going to be here for the future in the options of artificial intelligence. That's all.
Right. So we have to be, my analysis of research, I'm very skeptical about any research that I read. But because I understand that there are elements of racism and as far as numbers can be inflated, and that does happen. A lot of that can be discovered in how they collect the data, which can be disingenuous. So that is true, because you have to wonder, how can we be last in everything unless there's some other influences that people don't want to talk about? That the element of racism cannot be ignored. The problem is that we as Black people have to understand how we need to learn how to fight racism. And part of fighting racism is not allowing ourselves to depend on them.
Yes.
The less we depend on them, the less we don't have to go into their offices and be discriminated, hearing jokes, telling Black women you can't wear your hair like this and wear your hair like that. But I don't have a problem with it with my company. I allow anybody Black to, as long as you're professional and it's within your reason, you won't have those issues working for my company. But we don't have enough Black companies to provide that umbrella for our own people. Other groups of people don't have to look outside of their community to find jobs. We do, and until we provide those jobs, we're going to continue to be subject to that type of treatment from other groups of people. And so that's my reason. Like, I'm going to continue to talk about this because this needs to be talked about, for the fact of we're not doing enough in these areas.
I got a quick story about that. One back in 2010, I was a stockbroker at a company called E.J. Sterling. And while I was there, I was, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Boiler Room, but they start you as pond scum. And whilst I was there, I was, the token Black in the office. And one thing that happened, I got called, our racial slur. And so what they did for lunch that day, to quote unquote make up for it, and I thought this was even a further slap in the face, they handed me a Black card and said, go to lunch on us wherever you want. Go to Peter Luger's with the Black card. And I just thought that was a double slap in the face. If anybody's not familiar with the Black Card, that's the Middle American Express that has no limit, and generally you have to have at least an annual income of about 10 million before you qualify for that Black Card.
I would have with the Ruth Chris on their ass and had a wonderful life. Thank you for your Black Card.
I have a Barclays black card.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. White Man. Good shit. Nope.
But see, what he is saying, that is the passive aggressive bullshit that companies do to treat, as far as how they treat black people, and they think it's funny. They think it's a joke, and they do stuff like that. I mean, there are plenty of people that I know that have stories of how they were treated working in corporate America and working for these types of companies.
I mean, that's one reason why I don't work. That's one reason why I stay at home. If my husband has the ability for me to stay at home, I'm gonna stay at home because I can't deal with them melanin depleted people. No, the shit they do to you in corporate America, it ain't the job. It's the mental shit that you got to go through and process and deal with to keep from having the police called on you because they don't know how to act.
Right.
Ain't that the truth? My mother-in-law was she retired from Morgan Stanley in 2020, and that's the same year that they hired an African American woman to be, I think, the vice president of their diversity. They ignored the shit out of her and then fired her in December of 2020. And I know a lot of African American women who worked with Morgan Stanley, aka Dean Witter Smith Barney, but Morgan Stanley is buying everybody. So much so they left the company, went to E-Trade, and now E-Trade has been absorbed by Morgan Stanley. So now they're back working for Morgan Stanley, and a lot of the African Americans, which they don't tend to hire African American males at Morgan Stanley. They do it at Goldman Sachs, but not at Morgan Stanley, and they just completely mistreat the black women there.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. And for all these people that talk about, I mean, there are companies that strategize who they hire and what percentage of who they hire. And there are companies that don't want to hire black men because they don't want to compete. And the fact of the matter is that black women are more tolerable of a lot of stuff than black men. And black men are more aggressive towards change in regards to the work and more competitive about certain things. Like I knew one lady that's she told me a story. She was I think she was a computer engineer. Mm-hmm. She worked at this company for damn near 15 years and was lied to for the last 8 years about getting a raise and getting certain positions that were never afforded to her. Wow. And she bust her ass for that company for nothing. The average man wouldn't have waited that long in that certain day. A lot of men would have probably quit within 2 to 3 years. But there are a lot of, see what they found, and this is something I found with a lot of African-American women that I've counseled that have issues in work. African-American women are far more tolerable of negative behavior, and they're more loyal.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Way more loyal. Yes,
I did not know that.
We be trying to get our money, and they be doing the most. Like that motherfucker. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, baby.
That white dude told me, he said, how was your weekend? I was like, my weekend was fine. I had to do things with my children. Oh, yeah, it can be tough when you have all them kids. Wait a minute. Oh, what children? What you talking about?
How you know how many children I got? First of all,
I got 2 children. What you talking
about?
Yeah,
because he looks at that as black and ghetto. That's why he would say that dumb shit.
What? What are you talking about? So I got, because I'm black, I got to have me and Terry running around. Is that what you trying to say?
Yes, that's exactly what he was saying. And see that's the reason why when I did before I went into business for myself, I was always seen as a mystery because I strategically did not socialize with the people that I work for because I know how they operate. I'm not going to put myself in precarious situations, in social situations where you slip up and say this or say that. because I'm a person that's not going to allow you to get away with anything. If you say something to me that's out of bounds, I will hold you accountable and put you in your place, very nicely and professionally. And I had only one incident with a white guy that worked there that he tried to cross the lines with me, and he thought he basically, in so many words, said I was an uppity Negro. But he didn't say it that way. But he basically expressed himself in a way of far as how I carry myself, and he felt like I do this and I think that, and I gotta be right, and he said it in so many words, and I just let him know, no, I'm not an uppity Negro. I'm just superior to you. And I just said it in so many words, and I just kept it going, because I don't have time to foster those interactions and relationships with people that I know don't have my best interest. I'm here to do a job. I'm here to have solid work relationships. I'm not here to talk to you about my personal anything. I'm not trying to go drink and have fun with you after work. I'm not trying to have all this conversation. I'm basically here to do my job and go home. That's how I've always operated before I went into business for myself. And that's what I advise any black person. Do the work, do your job, be accessible, give 100%. Every black person that I know that got in trouble with their job, it had something to do with them socializing with those people. It's usually not about the productivity of your work. It's usually about somebody said this, somebody said a side joke, somebody commented on this, or somebody said that, or we was out in a gathering and somebody that's, and these people, and the thing about, how these people can act when they got alcohol in them, or they can act an ass. And so whenever I was asked to go to lunch or go to dinner and come have a drink, no, the answer was I said no. I worked at that company for 5 years, and I said no every time except for 3 times. There was one work-related thing that I said yes to. Then it was something else. We obtained a contract or something. We celebrated that, and then the last gathering. And let me tell you about this story. The last gathering that I had was, to me, the most significant. The last gathering was me leaving the company, and they decided to take me out to dinner before I left. Right? Okay. So let me tell you what happened to these people that you think like you. So it was not my idea, and nor did I care to have a dinner, like a going away type thing for me, but before I started my own business and did my own thing, right? So the company announced, or the clinic that I worked at announced that, hey, this is my last day. On Friday, blah, 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 we're going to go to this Mexican restaurant. We're going to eat some Mexican food. We're going to have some good margaritas and drinks, because the place has great drinks. And we're going to have a good time to send them off. Don't you know that? And to me, I knew this was going to happen. There were about 15 people who showed up. Okay? And guess what background 15 of those people look like? Guess what they all look like?
White.
No. They were all black. Nobody white showed up except for one white man that I worked with, that I shared an office with for like 2 years, I think. And he was more. I wasn't pissed off at all because I didn't really care. But don't you know, he was upset and couldn't understand how. You mean to tell me I'm the only white person that and to me, he didn't talk about this at the restaurant. He actually, another lady that worked with him, that they worked close with each other. When I left, she had talked to me and called me about it. He said that when they went to work that Monday, he constantly talked to her about, I can't believe nobody white showed up to wish him good luck in life. and with his new business and stuff. And I told her that's what you should expect. You should not expect. And she wondered too. But I said that, don't you know that when I worked there, I was not fraternizing with these people like that. I was not in your face. I was not brown. Definitely wasn't brown nosing nobody. Definitely wasn't. I was there to do my job, have good work related relationships, to be as helpful as possible. But all the personal and the joking and fun, I have no place for that because I understand how to operate in that environment. And I tell people all the time, when black people get in trouble at these jobs, it's usually because of the relationships that they form with some of these people. And these people you think have your best interest, and then they be the one to get you fired.
Yep.
Man, look, they'll fire you for not socializing with them. That's what happened to me in my first corporate job. They're like, you don't never show up to the events. I'm like, are they mandatory? No, but then I ain't coming.
I would have sued them too. That has nothing, and that's the reason. Like I would have straight up called the EEOC. They would have been sued because
I did. I called the EEOC, and the lady that answered that phone was so rude. And then, after this happened to me a couple of times, because the last job that I worked with, it was a corporate job too. And when I called the EEOC, because I hadn't called the EEOC no more after that first time, because these people they literally told me. I kept, because I work in healthcare, so I was working for this company, and like some of the patients would complain, and the complaint was that I was rude. But when my supervisor would be like, "Can you tell me what she did that was rude?" They didn't really have no answer. So I said, it's because of my hair. At the time, I was just now starting my afro, and I didn't really know how to comb my hair for real. So my afro was very unruly.
Okay.
And she was like, "No, it's not." I said, "Okay, I'm gonna prove it to you." So I went to the beauty supply. I got the longest wig I could find, bone straight. You know what I'm talking about? This thing went all the way to my butt. And I put this wig on. And she didn't get no complaints. I wore the wig for 2 weeks. She called me, she said, "I haven't got no complaints. What are you doing?" I said, "I stopped by your office before I go home." So I stopped by her office, and she said, "What is that on your head?" I said, "It's a wig." I said, "I've been wearing this every day. That's why you're not getting any complaints." I said, "I told you it was because of my hair." She's like, "I just can't believe it." I said, "Okay." So the next week, I took the wig off. I went to work. She got complaints. Within the first hour of me being at work, she got a complaint. She said, "Do you have your wig on?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, maybe you should put it back on." Bitch, what?
You can't. Don't want you to be yourself, and that's the thing. Who are anybody to tell us that we can't be our natural self when you being your natural self? See, this is the stuff that black people have to deal with in this country. Those people did not want you to be your natural self. They wanted you to be something to make them feel comfortable, but you not be comfortable.
Yeah, they don't like the way I speak, because I can't hide. You hear me speak, you talking to a black woman. I can't help it. I have to change my voice. I have to talk in this high pitched stupid shit, so people can feel comfortable. That ain't comfortable for me.
Right. That's called code switching. Black people have to code switch.
I don't code switch.
Yeah, and see that's the thing. We should not in any environment have to change who we are to make other people feel comfortable. No, who is trying to make us feel comfortable? Shit, I mean, you like really think about it. Who is going out of their way to make black folks feel comfortable?
No one.
Nobody. And so therefore, we should operate as such. This is my natural hair, just like you're wearing your natural hair. Why is it that my natural hair has to be something else, but you allowed to do, you allowed to wear your hair the way you want naturally, but I can't wear mine. And to me, my hair is not for you to like. You don't have to like how my hair looks. Just like I don't like the way y'all hair look, but you're gonna wear your hair the way you want to. Why should it? I'm just saying, it is not. You know, I actually was like, you know, it is not. Who gives a damn that you don't like the way my natural hair looks? That has nothing to do with anything. That's your opinion. That's subjective. Matter of fact, we don't care. Just like y'all don't care. If black people complain about how white people comb their hair and everything, they would not give a damn, and they're not going to stop doing what they're doing to make their hair look like black people's hair. Even though these days you do see people trying to get dreadlocks and all that other stuff, but that's just a small minority of people. They're not going to change who they are to facilitate, you know, the likings of black people. They're not. So we should not do the same either. And see, it goes back to, if we can economically support ourselves, we can eliminate these behaviors. You don't have to go, you can work for a black company that will allow you to be what you want, just like at my company. I don't question anybody. As long as your hair not like crazy ghetto looking, I'm not gonna have no problem. Like, I'm not, you know, you gotta have something. You got, like, as far as colors and shit all over the place. You know, long as your hair is nice and, so, you know, and neat and is reasonable. I don't care braids. I don't care if you got an afro, natural, whatever you want to do. That's your hair. That's our hair. I respect the beauty of our people. We don't have to change who we are for other people. We shouldn't have to. But the only way that we're going to be able to exercise that is if we are working in companies that's owned and operated by black people. Because so then we set a different standard. See, when we go in these companies, we have to basically operate under somebody else's standard. And that's why you got people suing right now because of stuff like this, discriminatory laws and all that stuff on account of people's hair. It's because we're operating in a nation that's controlled by people that don't look like us, and they don't value who we are, and they want us to assimilate to make them feel comfortable. The hell if you got to spend an extra hour getting, you know, doing your hair a certain way or whatever. That's not even debated. It's to make them feel comfortable in that setting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But see, we can minimize that if we were able to appropriate and support black businesses and organizations so that we can produce those opportunities so that we don't have to go to these people for jobs, for anything.
But I would love to not have to go to no white people to get no job because they get on my nerves. Like the last company I worked for, value my work ethic. Okay, but it was the middle management. They was racist. Okay, and they didn't want me there. So they used to micromanage the out of me. Like, it was bad. Like, it wasn't like, oh, okay, they're just an a-hole. They're just bothering me. It was to the point where it was stopping me from doing my job. Because every 2 minutes, you calling me or sending me a text message to respond to you. I got a job to do. What's wrong with you?
Right. It's stuff, man. It's so many things, man. I know for a fact, when I get clients, the number one clients that I get that have issues with this are black women that work in government agencies on the state or federal level. I get so many clients monthly, particularly that black women that come to therapy, where they are stressed out with their workplace environment because of their hair, what they dress, how they carry themselves, they do this, you know, just stressed out with stuff like that. See, we the black people are highly stressed out, you know, with a lot of things that we have to deal with that other people don't. And the thing about it, what gets me is that they gaslight, would act like, I didn't notice anything was wrong. I didn't know that, you know, so-and-so could never say that. How could that ever happen? I ain't never seen it. You know, this is the black experience. You know,
It is. But the last time I filed an EEOC complaint, I didn't care what they said. They was trying to discourage me from filing my complaint. Oh, well, you know, it's so many, we might not be able to take yours. You know, we'll just send you a letter in the mail and that'll give you the right to sue. Oh, okay. I'm still finna file this complaint, though.
Right.
File a complaint. Here we go. A year later, they done ran all through that company. They still investigating that company. They
Wow.
send me a, huh?
That's no, I'm just saying wow, because that's crazy that you had to go through that.
Yeah, I'm still going through it. They sitting up here and they like, cause I said harassment. They was like, oh, there's never been any harassment. Yeah, I work remote, so she's never met anybody to be harassment. I responded back. I was like, I got all the calls, the text messages. I can line up the calls with the text messages. Oh, I do have the text messages where the co-owner, investor of the company. I asked him if y'all don't want me to work here, just tell me, and I will. I'll put my 2 weeks notice in. And I got those messages. I said, so what are you talking about? There's no harassment. Now they trying to figure out how they gonna respond back to that because they thought I didn't have no receipts. I got all the receipts. You on mute?
No, it's getting us in order.
Now,
Go ahead. Yeah, okay.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Any last minute comments from anybody? I know Alonzo already said some things. Chaos Queen, any last word?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, I thank you all for participating. I'm basically out. I will talk to you. I'll be going live tomorrow with another woke discussion. Y'all have a great night. Peace.
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 Peace.